Welcome, everyone, to the NewVision OldWays podcast, a greatly ambitious journey of discovery where we can all learn to live better, mentally healthier, and more fulfilling lives. If you're just discovering us, feel free to go back and take the journey from the beginning. And if you're already a NewVision OldWays fan, welcome back and enjoy Season 4. And now, here is your host, Tony Marinaccio.
You are listening to NewVision OldWays, the podcast that explores timeless wisdom for the modern mind in a fun, relaxed, and most important, interactive way with you, the listener. I am your host, Tony Marinaccio, and let's get the episode started. Welcome, everyone, to another great episode of the NewVision OldWays podcast. And as always, I am so happy that you are joining me for an episode that will be a very eye-opening discussion in a very timely and controversial issue as well, that is preying on the hearts and souls and minds of not only me, but on the minds of all of us who care about what is going on in our communities. But before I get into that deep discussion, I want to thank the many people that have visited the website for this podcast. It is, of course, the newvisionoldways.com website. I have been especially excited about the response to the Revelations blog and news page. I hope you enjoy my insights, and I will be publishing as much as I can on all subjects, newsworthy stories, blog articles that coordinate with the episodes, and much, much more. So check back often, and we will be adding to the website as well as we go along. So a lot to look forward to there. So let's get into what's in store for this episode. I have been exploring the complicated world of power in the last two episodes, and I'm trying to look at it from angles that I don't believe are concentrated on too much, but yet are so important. And in this episode, I will look at how manufactured crises are controlling how many people think, how they act, how destructive and manipulative they are. This is an important episode for a lot of reasons that I will touch on, with a close look at how much influence and power this manufactured rebellion issue actually has, how the media perpetuates this madness, what we could do to guard against it and defeat not only the fake crisis that always seems to pop up right at the most opportune moments, but push back on the originators and distributors of this poisonous attempt at control. A lot to work through here, and there's no better time to get started than right now. So let's begin episode 38, Power and the Madness of Manufactured Rebellion.
This isn't just protest anymore. Everybody has the right to protest. That's one of the things that makes this country such a wonderful place to be. This is a movement fed by media distortions and open hostility toward any effort to enforce the law. Abolish ICE? What's that, like defund the police? What does that even mean? What does it look like when you abolish ICE? We just don't have borders anymore? We just absorb everybody that wants to come? And who's pushing that? People that live in gated neighborhoods, people that don't deal with overstressed infrastructure and schools? The media isn't just rewarding bad behavior by sugarcoating it, encouraging it. They're actually saying, hey, this is okay. They're creating criminals. They're lying to viewers, even though the video speaks for itself. Look, here's the thing. If you really disagree with Trump, protest peacefully or go home. You have the right to protest. You have the right to assemble. You have the right to carry your signs. You have the right to chant your slogans. But when you start attacking agents, when you start attacking vehicles, when you start setting things on fire, you make a bad situation way, way worse.
That was Dr. Phil, and he set the stage for our subject today by asking a very important question. Who's behind this? Behind what? And why should we care? We should care deeply about this troubling trend. It's not at all a new trend. Dictators, governments, political parties have been trying to manipulate people with manufactured rebellion for hundreds of years, maybe thousands of years. The difference now, they have social media and agenda-driven legacy media on their side, driving people, sometimes good people, into following, demonstrating, rioting against something that was conjured up in a think tank setting but now has made it to the streets. From the famous Nazi-staged event, the Reichstag fire, which helped to justify control and burn down a building that Hitler absolutely detested, all the way to the BLM riots in 2020, which helped no one except the higher-ups in BLM become wealthy, to the Gaza riots on campuses, to the ICE protests going on now. This dangerous form of mind control has been utilized over and over again to control the media narrative, to control voting tendencies, to flat out control portions of the population, to perpetuate violence from coded and not so coded messages and flat out orders from the likes of awful people like Maxine Waters, and lately a ghastly call for violence against ICE enforcement agents from, believe it or not, another California county official, Cynthia Gonzalez, who in very clear semi-coded terms actually calls for gang members to defend their turf from ICE agents. The LA County DA office, led by Nathan Hochman, should be charging Cynthia Gonzalez, arresting her immediately for blatantly calling for a hit on ICE agents on social media. How did we get to this point? How did we are to blame here for allowing this type of manufactured crises and rebellion to take center stage? I hope LA County sees the light and goes after Gonzalez, even at the risk of serious riots. Enough is enough. Today's Reichstag fires come in the form of obvious coded comments, viral tweets, doctored videos, and mass media cycles. The media doesn't report reality in most cases. Its main job is to shape perception. The news cycle is not about keeping you informed. It's about keeping you engaged, addicted, and emotionally invested in the version of truth that benefits powerful interests. The recent No Oligarchs tour, at the very least, a clearly hypocritical idea at best when very, very rich people are funding the thing that they are rallying against. And yet, some people actually fell for the idea, chanting against the rich by people that can barely hold a job. No mind control there, right? We could even go back to the early 1950s and see a glaring example of public perception and control by looking at the McCarthy hearings. It was an era defined by undercurrent of paranoia. The Cold War was ramping up and the Soviet Union now had nuclear weapons. China was now communist, and back home in America, people were asking a chilling question. What if the enemy isn't out there, but already among us? So Senator Joe McCarthy seized that paranoia and used it for personal glorification by not proving anything at all, but acting like he's saving America by just plain accusing people of communist activity. Again, no proof, but exposing that if you accuse people loudly enough and repeat it, people will believe it. This wasn't about rooting out a real threat. It was about leveraging a perceived threat to gain power, suppress dissent, and control the narrative. McCarthy created a toxic atmosphere where anyone could be labeled un-American for speaking out, questioning authority, or even just having the wrong association in their past. Sounds a whole like COVID times, doesn't it? History repeating itself with a slightly different mask on.
The system smiles while handing you 1,000 flavors of the same idea. Conform, but feel like you're choosing. Think about social media. It promises you a platform, a voice, a digital stage to express yourself. But that voice is guided by algorithms that reward conformity, outrage, and superficiality. Say something real, and you might get buried. Post something trendy, and you might go viral. It's not expression, it's performance. Even rebellion is packaged now. Want to feel like a nonconformist? Great. There's a brand for that. There's a hoodie, a playlist, an aesthetic, and a hashtag. Modern rebellion often looks more like a marketing campaign than a movement. And here lies the most dangerous part of the illusion. You feel like you're free. You walk through life feeling like you're in control, never realizing the lanes were drawn long before you arrived. The illusion works so well because it rewards you just enough. Just enough dopamine, just enough success, just enough applause to keep you from asking, wait, is this really freedom? True freedom isn't about infinite options within a limited box. It's about seeing the box. It's about stepping outside of default modes and asking, why do I want what I want? Who benefits from my choices? That moment, when you start to question, really question, is when the spell starts to break. Because the greatest deception of modern society isn't control through force, it's control through illusion, through the comforting lie that you are already free. But real freedom? That begins only when you stop mistaking the menu for the meal.
So why does that illusion work so well? Let's analyze the way these manufactured crises evolve. And believe me, it doesn't take a genius to do this analysis. It's pretty obvious, but I still want to go through it because there is a 4-step cycle that takes place. And the first step is to create the narrative. Someone decides how the public should feel about a topic before they even know what's going on. Framing the issue can immediately wrap it in moral clothing. A police shooting instantly becomes either a justified action or, when needed by the likes of Al Sharpton, a racist attack. And of course, is amplified by what network you are watching and which agenda they need to magnify. A protest can be called a mostly peaceful protest, all while cars are burning, the National Guard needs to be called in, businesses being destroyed, and people are hurt and killed. I guess what we see isn't what we are really seeing. Once the narrative is chosen, facts are cherry-picked to match it. The truth becomes irrelevant. All that matters is control of perception. Phase 2 is once they light that spark, they now pour on the gasoline. Social media algorithms are designed to promote conflict because conflict equals engagement. Every time you comment in rage, hit share, or drop into a heated thread, you are feeding the system. This is not accidental. Facebook's own research leaked in 2021 showed that angry content spreads faster and keeps people online longer. They aren't just showing you what you like, they are showing you what you hate, because that is what is keeping you scrolling. And then we go to phase 3. Fan the flames further by villainizing the opposition by offering, of course, no solutions, but offering a savior politician, for example. You, of course, will be encouraged to vote for said politician, share the all related posts, and guilted on social media if you do not participate. You will also be encouraged to donate or get other people to donate to an official fund. And don't forget to wear your misguided t-shirt to prove your ignorance. Can't forget that. These surface level actions feel like participation, but they rarely challenge the system. They channel your energy into something you deemed acceptable and controlled. Meanwhile, no solutions again being offered, and the so-called root problem remains completely untouched. Real systemic change would threaten the power that they have over you with no crisis to keep you engaged. So instead, they give you rebellion in a box. Phase 4. And maybe the most important for the organizers of the rebellion, cash out and reset. Every movement generates revenue, data, political leverage, and public compliance. When the crisis cycle ends, if it's shallow enough like the oligarch tour, it can be easily forgotten, or it can be repackaged for the next election cycle where it could be blamed on the other side. And or the think tanks will advise the new scandal that we are all expected to rage against. And the phases begin again. Either way, we are left exhausted, distracted, and confused. But in a weird way, waiting for the next emotional jolt to give life to the next crisis that will check the box needed by the originators. Here's where we go from media manipulation to social engineering. Social engineering is the use of centralized planning in an attempt to manage social change and regulate the future development and behavior of a society. In this particular case, manufactured rebellion doesn't just keep us confused, it keeps us divided, and division has always been a tool of the ones that want to hold power. If the people unite, they lose control. So keep them fighting each other. They won't see the obvious when they are fighting. In today's world, the lines of division are everywhere, especially with ideological division and cultural and identity wars. We are now trained sheep to view everything through left versus right, liberal versus conservative, woke versus traditional, etc. This turns nuanced issues into binary war zones. Once you are locked into a team, you are no longer listening. You are defending. That's when the real dialogue dies. That's when the groupthink takes over. And meanwhile, the elites stay above it all, like when Andrea Ocasio-Cortez calmly stated that why should you go back to work after COVID just to pay the bills, while she rakes in a cool $200,000 plus a year in showed income and much more. While you stay at home and hope for government assistance money. Remember, folks, you get what you vote for. You'll now notice the media constantly stoking tensions between races, genders, sexualities, religious groups, and ever-present generational divide. Identity is easy pickings. Why? Because identity is emotional. It's deeply personal. If they can make you believe that someone else's identity is a threat to yours, they do not need the facts. They just need the fear. You are too busy arguing over bathrooms and pronouns to notice that you are being emotionally controlled. And this part is often overlooked. Once people are overwhelmed, burnt out, and hopeless, they stop organizing. They stop thinking. They just want comfort, distraction, and promises. That's when they will accept censorship. That's when they will trade freedom for the illusion of peace. It's not just divide and conquer. It's divide, exhaust, and enslave. So ask yourself, who benefits when we hate each other? Who profits from your confusion? Who gains when people are constantly fighting the system, but nothing ever changes? And why doesn't it change? Because you can glue your hands to the road if you like, but if there are no solutions offered for a problem that does not really exist, then what exactly are you proving? How does society get better because you now have to have skin grafts on your hands? Society not only didn't improve, but now you have to have a doctor bill that you can't, of course, pay for because you have no job. And you have your favorite politician laughing all the way to the bank because the company he or she invested in is, to save the planet, by the way, is lining their pockets with enough money to help them buy that second and third house, just like Bernie did. So let me walk a little bit through the psychology of this for a brief moment. When people are exposed to emotionally charged content, especially fear and outrage, it activates the amygdala, the part of the brain responsible for fight or flight. And when the amygdala is lit up, your critical thinking, which is handled by the prefrontal cortex, takes a back seat. Now, layer on top of that the herd effect. When you see large groups reacting to a situation like storming the streets, carrying signs, echoing slogans, your brain thinks, I need to be part of that because the group think feels safe. It feels right. Even if that group was greatly exaggerated by paid participants and the entire demonstration was built on misinformation and manufactured hysteria, this is the danger of the emotional contagion. When we catch outrage like it's the flu, and when that becomes the norm, you are no longer acting from truth. You are reacting from panic. We have gone from critical movements to reactionary mobs, from investigating injustice to consuming injustice as content and manipulation. I mentioned in episode 37 that we now know that manufactured rage and rebellion is useless without producing actual solutions. Of course, actual solutions are difficult to produce when the crisis is manufactured. So the accusations of racism, oligarchy, influence, fascism are all just smokescreens for the fact that the originators of the crisis are now working on, you guessed it, the next crisis. So what can we do to regain our sanity, regain our focus, and our sense of self? Well, here are a few ways we could do that. Disconnect to reconnect. Take regular breaks from social media and the mainstream news. Protect your mind like you would protect your money. In fact, your healthy mind is worth a lot more than any amount of money you can have. Real power isn't in Washington or Hollywood. Take that, Robert De Niro. Real power is found in your neighborhood. Look around, understand what the root cause of the issues are, and do your best to create solutions out of love, not outrage. Remember, outrage without solutions is just a smokescreen. Verify before you react. If you are not paid to be there, which a lot of people are, think before you show up and try to get the real facts and decide who is benefiting from this. Because if you dig deeper, you'll see that the outrage is not all that it's cracked up to be. Strengthen your emotional intelligence. Learn to sit with discomfort without being reactive. That's how you become unshakable. Remember the old ways? Our ancestors survived empires without the internet. They used intuition, healing, and ceremony to become strong. We need to bring those back, not as nostalgia, but as a strategy. These are but a few things we need to concentrate on so we don't get sucked into the trap of someone else's claim that the end is near. When you have no fear, your mind is not for sale. You are an independent thinker that cannot be controlled. That alone is a warrior mentality. And we need to be a warrior-minded people on this because of the manufactured rebellion is real. Manufactured division is real, but so is your power to see through it. Think about it. When the noise is getting louder and the accusations are flying, but no solutions are being presented, the crisis originators are becoming afraid. Why? Because silence is dangerous to them. Stillness is dangerous. Unity is dangerous. It's time we stopped reacting and start remembering that we are not consumers of rebellion. We are builders of a new reality. A reality where we stop fighting each other and start building something they cannot control. When we are emotionally reactive, we become mentally submissive. We think we are choosing sides. We think we are standing for something, but most of the time, we are just being played. We cannot fall for the lines like, this is an attack on democracy, or this is racism in plain sight, or this is genocide. We need to expect more from ourselves. We need to expect more from each other. Together, we can raise the bar so that this type of manipulation ceases to exist. Think about it. What is it solving? Are we moving ahead as a people? And again, who is benefiting? It most likely is not us, the ones at street level getting up and going to work every day. Manufactured crises work so well because they bypass your logic and go straight to your emotions. They activate fear, which short circuits your critical thinking. They feed your need to belong, and they trigger moral urgency. If you don't act now, you're complicit. It's psychological conditioning at its best. The real danger of these manufactured crises and rebellion isn't just the misinformation they produce. It's in the loss of your sense of self and your sovereignty. I have stressed in many episodes that when you lose your sense of self, you become highly controlled and manipulated. Because when you are always reacting to perceived crisis that you didn't choose and often don't even understand, you lose the most powerful sacred thing you have, your ability to think for yourself. But here on NewVision OldWays, we are rejecting that script. We are stepping off the panic treadmill and asking the deeper questions. We are restoring curiosity, patience, and courage, because that is where the real power lives. From The 7 Habits of Highly Effective People by Stephen Covey, the ability to subordinate an impulse to a value is the essence of the proactive person. Reactive people are driven by feelings, by circumstances, by conditions, by their environment. Proactive people are driven by values, carefully thought about, selected and internalized values. Broken down, this means that our impulses or our values win the battle of our minds and determine who we become. Let your inner self drive your values, not the latest trendy manufactured crisis. Because when you dig deep into your soul, you will realize that you are being controlled. It can be a tough realization to come to terms with, but it is a necessary realization. Once you become aware of the control source that has become your guide, you can then cut the strings and live out your own truth. Improving yourself should become the paramount thing in your life. And as time goes on, you will realize that you will never want to be controlled again. Why? Because when you are a slave to the groupthink, you may think you are part of something bigger than you, and you are somehow doing something righteous. But in reality, someone other than you is profiting greatly from your outrage and rebellion. And whomever that is certainly doesn't care about your welfare. You are a pawn, a number, a blind participant in their end goal. But what about your end goal? What about your healthy mind and soul? Go back into the previous episodes and find that concept that works for you so that you could take control of your mind back. It's worth the journey. It's worth the peace of mind. It's worth your life, and you can do it. You just need to take those first steps, and you will get there. It truly is mind over matter. So, what did you think of this episode or any of the episodes? I would love to find out. And here's where to get a hold of the show. and let us know. These are in the show notes, but as always, here they are. As I announced in the last few episodes, the new NewVisionOldWays.com website is up and running. Check out all the episodes, the Revelations blog and news page, and a subscription link, as well as a link that you could click on that will allow you to donate to the show and show your support. You can also message the show from each of your episodes on the various platforms. Just look for the send us a text message link. If that doesn't work for you, you can email us at newvisionoldways@gmail.com. You can find us on what was Twitter, now X, and that's at NewVisionOldWay. There's no S on that one. It's at NewVisionOldWay. Check out the New Vision Old Ways YouTube channel. Type in New Vision, one word, Old Ways, one word. Please subscribe. It is free and will show support for the show. It really means a lot. It will help grow the show on YouTube. Find us on Facebook. Just type in again, New Vision, one word, Old Ways, one word podcast, and you should easily find us. And as a reminder, these are growing platforms for us and expanding all the time. So we need your help to get the flow going with the community. And last but not least, if you could do me a huge favor and subscribe to us, like us, follow us, leave a review on whatever platform you found us on, that would be so appreciated. That will also help, again, secure guests that we will be booking in the future. So welcome to season 4. I have a lot still to cover this season, so thank you for listening. I cannot wait to get your input. I also cannot wait until we get together for the next episode of New Vision, Old Ways. And until then, stay true to yourself, stay informed, and stay empowered.
But the most important thing is...
This episode and all the episodes of New Vision Old Ways podcast have been written, engineered, and produced by Tony Marinaccio and TKM Productions.